Segenhoe Stud has a rich history in the Australian breeding and racing landscape and is currently home to the mother of our most recent champion, the mighty mare Winx. It's also home to some household names from the past several decades. So what does it take to look after an older, retired broodmare to keep them happy and healthy? Peter, I mean, Segenhoe Stud, you have some magnificent broodmares, absolute household names in the racing and breeding industry. It takes a lot, though, to look after these mares as they do get older, doesn't it?
It does, and it's something that farms in Australia have been doing for decades. But obviously now it's more prominent in the press and on the television. So it's become more of a story, but it's been something we've been doing for years and years.
What is it that they really need? I mean, as far as their feed and you know, general maintenance, if you have a mare that's either approaching their 20s or in their 20s, what are some of the specifics that you need to do that's different to a younger mare?
Well, you see in some of the footage, some of them get Cushing's disease as they get older, which is sort of a woolly coat. So it's actually great in winter for them. And then we would clip them coming into summer, and sometimes we clip them twice. We generally use them as nannies for the weanlings, normally for only 2 or 3 years. Once they get to 24, 25, for me, they're a little bit old for it. So we have a few nanny paddocks, and they have all different routines and different jobs.
The feed itself, is it much different to the feed you'd give any horse, or you need to keep the feed up to them, I guess, to keep condition?
Yeah, so we would feed our retired mares more than any of the other horses, and they get 2 big feeds a day. Arborea, who has little teeth left, well, she's 30, so she gets a little nice bran mash, which she loves. And because she's dominant in the paddock, she can just have that in with the others. Feet are very important, so you don't want them getting them too heavy, but they naturally won't be too heavy as they get older. Again, and then in the winter, some of the mares have 3 rugs, some have 1 rug. It all depends on the individual, but they get plenty of love and tenderness and care. Another thing to realise is it costs about $5,000 or $6,000 a year to rear them, and we're very lucky that our clients who own these mares are willing to do that. It's not just a Segenhoe thing, it's a John Camilleri thing, it's an Owen Egan thing, it's a Graham Watson thing. I mean, all our owners are with us together on it.
What would you say to people that, you know, they might have race fillies retiring, or they might have bred from mares and they might want to be looking for somewhere or looking for a way to maintain them through life? What would you suggest? Because, you know, it is a financial commitment, but, you know, they've given a lot to a lot of people.
Absolutely. You've got to know exactly what you want. You know, if you're going to take the commitment to home a retired horse, whether it's a young horse, you know, there's a big commitment. It's a 7-day-a-week, all year round commitment, and it's a costly one as well. So you've got to be committed. For us with mares, we would generally only look after the mares on the farm because, you know, at the moment we got 2 paddocks of geldings and 2 paddocks of retired mares, which is which we're happy about, but we have to be conscious of our numbers. Yeah. So if you're going to a smaller farm and you're taking them on, their terrific way is with the weanlings. And for us, for example, we charge $10 a day for the owners. But when they're with the weanlings, they don't get charged at all because they're doing a job. Yeah. Working, exactly. So you try and work it out that there's balance the cost for everyone. And but the main thing, as ever, is that the animal is looked after as he or she should be. And
what about things like laminitis? I mean, you know, and the vet costs. I mean, I guess as anything ages, there are more medical costs involved, aren't there? I wasn't going to say that, but true. but what are some of the extra vet costs? And explain, you know, some people probably have heard of laminitis or foundering. Or what are some of these things that can affect older mares?
Laminitis is one, but funnily enough, if you manage them right, it's with the feeding and the paddocks, where you try and keep them off as the real rich grass. But generally, if they get to 20 or 21, you really are not going to encounter that. The biggest issues would be arthritic changes. A lot of our mares now that are 25 or more would have some degree of arthritis. It's managing that, not necessarily with veterinary treatment, but what paddocks you put them in, who you put them in with, and it's just cuddling them through it.
And what about the actual rugging, rug on, rug off? You know, I mean, that is quite a big thing, I guess, for, you know, a lot of these thoroughbreds, but particularly as they get older.
Absolutely, and that's where we're blessed. We have Stephanie, who you met this morning, who looks after the retired horses when they're not nannying, and you'll see her During the middle of the day at lunchtime, if she thinks it's got too hot, she'll be down de-rugging. She's passionate about it, and it is onerous, but if you've got the right people around you, it's not at all.
But it's Arborea clear of Oaks Day, and Arborea is going on to win the Oaks.
Well, Arborea, I mean, she was just an absolutely fabulous race filly herself. She's 30 now. Tell us about her in particular, because, I mean, you know, she just looks so content standing in the sun.
She's a dote. I actually saw her win the Oaks, and she's always been an absolute favourite of mine. An opportunity came to buy her for John Camilleri, which John did, and we've had her ever since. She's obviously been retired for a long while now, but as you saw her, she looks 22, and she has no teeth, a couple of teeth left, but she eats fine. She has no problems getting around. I mean, honestly, there could be another 5 years in her. A lovely story about her was that obviously New Haven bred and raced her, and they've been ringing me every year for the last 2 or 3 years to see if they could take her home so she could finish out her days at New Haven, but I said not for any money in the world.
Drum beats and reggae ring do.
But it's important, as you would have seen going around the farm today, they're not kept because of the champion racehorse or broodmares they are. It's because they've got to an age at Segenhoe, and we have all the mares are treated the same. Some, like Morning Light, has probably been the worst broodmare that ever set foot in the earth, but she gets treated the same as Arborea. But with Arborea, you'll see she has her tongue out. She's had that, does that all her life, and she's a marvel.
True Blonde, well, it was just gorgeous seeing her. Now, she has Cushing's, as you mentioned, so it is, obviously something you need to manage with clipping, etc. But, I mean, she's been incredible. She's obviously the half-sister to Snippets, who, has been a sire sensation too, a great influence. But a horse such as that, through the sales, her progeny have earned her connections over $12 million. And here's this gorgeous, sweet little mare standing in a paddock next to the mother of Winks. It's a beautiful whole circle of life type thing.
It is. Kevin would love you here saying the circle of life. She's a real Segenhoe story, because obviously easy date. It's all Michael's seeing Segenhoe's family when there was that binary. So she's the last link that's on the current Segenhoe. I'm delighted to say True Blonde's last foal we kept, called Whitefields, to continue the lineage. But you see the True Blonde herself. She is a unique character. She does things her way. With her coat, as you saw, she needs clipping in the summer. We generally do her 2 or 3 times. But interestingly enough, Vegas Showgirl is a complete loner. And our broodmare manager, Luke, said we should get her a friend. And I said, well, joking, we get True Blonde because she's a loner. Yeah. And we put them together and they're the best of pals. So now True Blonde's job is to keep Vegas happy and vice versa.
Eagle way clear from Exultant. The Eagle will land.
And then Wedgetail Eagle. I mean, we've shown on Thoroughbreds ago a number of nannies and the role of the nanny, but it is great to see. How do you work the nannies? How much longer will she be in with the weanlings that she's in with?
So Wedgie, I think, is rising 22 from memory this year. So she is a weanling, so her last foal is a weanling. And we just made the decision last year to retire, not to breed her. I'm very lucky, we're very lucky here that Kevin and Leslie support. We don't want to breed these mares till they're on their last legs. So generally around 21, that would be it. And so this is Wedgie's first year nannying, and she's an absolute champion at it. To such an extent, we had a storm a few weeks ago, and she was herding the weanlings into the shelter shed and then ran out to get the last 2 in. Wow. Incredible. And they need that lovely placid temperament. And currently her daughters, 2 daughters have thrown stakes winners in the last 2 months. It's an incredible family, and I'm more than ecstatic to say that Eagle Way, her Group 1 winner, will be arriving here in the next few weeks. He's retired from Hong Kong, and he will become a nanny.
Wonderful, yeah. And it takes a certain horse to be a nanny, doesn't it? A certain temperament too, to be able to put up with the youngsters.
Absolutely. Can you imagine if you've reared a family and then you've looked after grandkids and you get to 70s and all you want to do is play cards, go have a beer and bowl or something, and then you're thrown into great grandkids. Yeah. I could do your head in. And you're right, but some mares love it like Wedgetail Eagle, and some don't. And it's the same with geldings. Some are natural, some aren't. We'll try them, and then the ones that aren't just hang out together as bold teenagers up in the hill. It's an absolute responsibility, and there always has been, and there always will be. And it doesn't matter how big or small you are, If you're not going to look after these animals, you shouldn't be in the game. And it's as simple as that. And when I see people who don't do that, honestly, I can't get mad, but that gets me crazy. And it is, I understand it's costly, but there are organisations, people, farms, there's a big network of people there to help people that are in trouble, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and ask.